your home for the most local news. News 10 ABC in the morning starts now.
It's awful. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
A local city, parts of it waking up in ashes. We are live in Cohoes this morning to see what is being done after yesterday's devastating fire there.
A man has been arrested in connection to that fire. We'll hear from authorities of how he allowed that fire to get so out of control.
And the Electric City just got a little dimmer. How many people have lost their jobs following another round of layoffs at General Electric? Some tough news to pass along this morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Arangio.
And I'm Ryan Peterson. We do thank you for waking up with 10. You know, Cohoes has a history of large fires. A couple back just in March that displaced dozens of people. And this one, the wind yesterday certainly didn't help. Those embers carrying that fire in 3 city blocks.
I know.
And we're not.
It was those gusty winds.
Right, and we're not done with those winds. Later on today, same thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Some wind gusts upwards of maybe 30, 35 miles per hour today, so that'll pick up for the afternoon. So much like yesterday, in the morning it was quiet in terms of that breeze, but it picked up for the afternoon, so same deal for today. Here's a look at the forecast first. 7 a.m., mostly cloudy, 38. 45 at noon, breezy, partly sunny, and then becoming clear by 5 p.m. Temperatures around 41. We should get up to around 46 in Albany today. Stewart Shop Storm Tracker weather cam, the view from Stuyvesant Plaza. Now, it's cool this morning, but it's not that bad, and you will notice it's wet outside, but no refreezing everybody above freezing this morning. 42 right now in Albany, west wind at around 7. 38 right now in Saratoga, 39 Glens Falls, 41 Bennington, 35 in Hudson, 40 in Cobleskill. Satellite and radar, clouds this morning, maybe a sprinkle towards the Mohawk Valley, but we're generally on the quiet side. Clouds will decrease gradually through the day as high pressure builds on in. Now for tomorrow and also Sunday, looks mostly quiet. Next week, things will change. Although the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes. Christina?
All right, thank you, Greg. And of course, we're staying on top of the devastating fire in Cohoes from yesterday. One
of the biggest ever to rip through that city. Numerous buildings destroyed, upwards of 25 people left without a home.
And we know now a man has been charged in connection with that fire. News 10 ABC's Sam Damasio beginning our live coverage this morning. She's live at the scene. And Sam, we know crews certainly are still there.
Oh, absolutely. They have been here through the night. To give you an idea of just how hot and intense this fire was, take a look behind me. These firefighters have been here through the night pouring water on what remains of these buildings, and there is still smoke rising from the ashes. Take a look at some of the video we gathered from yesterday as the flames quickly spread from building to building. Those strong winds making matters so much worse. There were at least 100 firefighters called in to help get it under control. Buildings across the street had their windows blown out from the heat, their siding melting as well. And I'm told the damage extends some 3 blocks between the smoke and water damage. An officer here also tells me that the hot embers in the air were falling on neighboring buildings, causing them to catch fire. One also falling on the fire chief's cheek, burning him.
Those ashes in the air, even you sustained an injury. Talk about that.
As I got out of the car, the embers were blowing down. I felt somebody just rushed to the side. One of my guys said, "You better get that looked at." But yeah, the embers were, I haven't seen embers like that in a long time.
Now, another firefighter was taken to the hospital for heat exhaustion. Can you imagine that? It was so cold, and still he's taken there for heat exhaustion. But I'm told he has since been released. And other than that, miraculously, no one was seriously injured. But there is a tremendous amount of loss here, and about a dozen families without a place to call home this morning, less than 3 weeks from Christmas. We will be here throughout the morning, and once the sun comes up, we'll certainly get a better look at the damage here, and we'll also be speaking with many of the people who have been affected by this fire to check in on how they're holding up this morning. But for now, we're live in Cohoes. Samantha Damasio, News 10 ABC.
Thank you, Sam. The city now wondering, of course, how could something like that happen, right? Police say they have the man responsible for setting the fire. 51-year-old John Gomes accused of setting a small fire in his backyard. And he's now charged with arson and reckless endangerment. Assistant Chief Thomas Ross later explaining how that fire got so out of control so quickly.
A non-intentional arson. It's a reckless arson. Obviously with the winds 30, 40 miles an hour today, and then literally the barrel that was utilized was brought closer to the house because of the wind, figuring it would help them get the fire bigger. And results are the results.
Investigators believe yesterday's strong winds, of course, causing that fire to spread the way it did and out of control, again causing damage to buildings across 3 city blocks.
Well, of course, it didn't take long for people in the community to come together, and they're vowing to rebuild. Now, Mary's at the Alert Desk with more on that. Mary.
Yeah, Mayor Sean Morse is calling the people of Cohoes a resilient bunch, saying the community will come together to help the people displaced and the property owners who lost so much. Among the 20 or so damaged buildings are Rizzo's Florist and Smith's Tavern, which dates back to 1937. Mara's Pharmacy, owned by Assemblyman John McDonald, was untouched, but its garage full of inventory a total loss. Many families without a home now, 18 people receiving some compassion from the Red Cross. People who live and work on Remsen Street are hopeful it will come back stronger.
It's like seeing your own house on fire or something.
It's going to take the surrounding communities to help us all lift ourselves back up because of the number of people that were impacted.
That last man there, Don Russell, owns Spindle's Wine Bar, a new business on Remsen that remained unscathed by the fire. That's good news, but he said it's tough to see an area that's in the process of a revitalization be hit by such devastation. Ryan.
All right, thank you, Mary. Now, to give you a better idea of the scale of this fire, how big it actually was, check this out. Here's radar imagery from the National Weather Service in Albany. Picked up the smoke signature on radar. That's a big clump of gray area you see right down there towards the bottom of the screen, southern Saratoga County. That is all the smoke from the fire at its peak. Large. Unbelievable.
And we are dedicated to bringing you the latest on the major fire in Cohoes, the aftermath, the effort to rebuild. Of course, we will be live throughout the day today, so stay with News 10 ABC on the air and online.
All right, on to some more local news now, and another fire, this time in Del Mar, happening on Sibley Place around 7 o'clock last evening. When crews arrived, they found the fire in the back of the house in the attic. They knocked it down quickly. The home badly damaged. No one was hurt. That's the good news. But the family, obviously finding a new place to stay for the time being. Investigators believe that fire was accidental.
5:36 right now. Today is the deadline for an indictment to be handed up as part of the investigation into Rensselaer County DA Joel Abelove. The indictment would come in regard to Abelove's handling of a police-involved shooting death of Edson Thevenin. In recent weeks, we've learned the grand jury delivered a sealed envelope to the Rensselaer County Court. It's scheduled to be opened this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Columbia County Judge Jonathan Nichols, who's been overseeing the grand jury testimony in the case, will be presiding when it's open. Count on News 10 ABC to bring you live coverage throughout the afternoon.
Man convicted of murdering a man in Schenectady is scheduled to be sentenced today. Hector Abreu, accused of shooting Angel Carrion. Investigators say the violence stems from some gang affiliations. Abreu is already serving a 12-year sentence after pleading guilty to shooting another man in Albany back in 2014, 4 months after he shot and killed Carrion.
New details on a case we've been covering over the past year. The man you're going to see in just a moment here was sentenced yesterday for stealing the identity of a New York State trooper killed on duty. Stephen Calderon will spend up to 4 years in prison for making the ID that you see right there on the screen. He pleaded guilty to using Trooper Timothy Pratt's personal information to go on a shopping spree at Home Depot. Trooper Pratt was hit by a car while helping a lost truck driver. He died back in October of 2016. He was a 30-year veteran of the force.
Well, the Electric City a little dimmer this morning after a major company announcing more layoffs. 75 people were told yesterday they no longer have a job at General Electric. Fourth in a series of smaller layoffs this year alone. The company releasing the following statement, which reads in part, "We are working to reduce costs and simplify our structure to better align our product solutions, and these steps will include those layoffs." Well, the fallout continues. More allegations now coming to light as more women say that former Today Show anchor Matt Lauer sexually abused them. Lauer was seen for the first time since the news broke, leaving his Long Island home yesterday. The former news anchor breaking his silence with a statement that reads in part, "Some of what is being said about me is untrue or mischaracterized, but there is enough truth to these stories to make me feel embarrassed and ashamed." As of this morning, there are now a total of 8 women who have come forward with allegations against Lauer. NBC says they had no prior knowledge of the complaints about his conduct before this week.
As the number of sexual harassment allegations continues to grow, one New York lawmaker calling for a unified approach. Now, while all legislators are required to complete sexual harassment awareness training every 2 years, it turns out when it comes to defining sexual harassment at the state capitol, the policies are different for the Senate and the Assembly. The Assembly's policy is 13 pages long. detailing what harassment is, reporting methods, and the investigation process. Cases can sometimes be investigated by outside legal counsel, taking authority away from the Speaker's counsel. The Senate's policy is only 3 pages long and has fewer details on what's considered sexual harassment. If someone reports a crime, the Secretary of the Senate designates someone to handle the investigation.
Sexual harassment law is based on the 1964 Civil Rights Act, but it doesn't define anywhere in the act what sexual harassment is. So courts have been left with the responsibility of defining that.
While some say the differences are slight, it still has Assemblywoman Sandy Gala from the lower Hudson Valley calling on the governor to create a uniform policy to apply to all government employees. Remember, you can follow all of these stories and the local news updates on our News 10 ABC app. Go to the Apple Store or Google Play, and all you have to do is search News 10 ABC, and you can get it today for free.
Hey, happening today, the rink on the Empire State Plaza will open for the season. Yeah, it's December 1st. It's going to be open 7 days a week from 11 to 8. It is always free. And get this, every Friday, there are free skate rentals thanks to Hannaford Supermarkets. And don't forget, the Capitol tree, the New York State official tree on the Empire State Plaza, will be lit on Sunday. And your News 10 ABC in the Morning team will be there to help flip the switch. Come out and say hello. It's always a great event. Of course, it's followed by the fireworks, but there's stuff going on all afternoon long. There's food, there's live music. Of course, the rink will be open. Santa will be there. So a lot of stuff going on for the family and the kids. No, you can't.
Fun for all. 5:41 right now. Well, a shocking verdict has been reached after a woman was shot and killed on a pier.
Why the man who fired the gun that killed an innocent 32-year-old woman is not being held responsible for the crime.
And helping local children recover from traumatic situations. The new measures authorities are being trained to follow when responding to those types of situations.
And a live look outside here. You're looking at the 87 north of the Twin Bridges. A little bit of volume there. Watch out, there may be a little bit of road spray. Some of the roads are damp this morning, following a little bit of rain overnight. We'll check in with Greg after the break.
Forecast first. Well, we've been saying it all morning. The skating rink opens at Empire State Plaza today. It opens at 11 o'clock this morning. It looks pretty good. It's going to be cold. We'll see temperatures generally into the 30s and 40s. Here are some details. It's at the Empire State Plaza. It's the 7th year of skating at the plaza until March 11th. So it goes for a few months. Partly cloudy, windy, 11 a.m. temperature around 36, and 8 p.m. will be around 39, but in the middle of that we'll be into the 40s. So do prepare to dress warmly if you want to go out and skate for free, by the way, and also get your skate rentals for free. Every Friday at the plaza we're going to have free skate rentals. 37 right now in Glenmont, 40 in Lanesboro, 38 right now in Saratoga, Duanesburg at 37, Cobleskill 40, Hessville 40, same deal in Cooperstown at 40 degrees this morning. 37 in Johnstown, Broad Albin, down towards Hageman, we're sitting at 38, and across the Adirondacks we're above freezing, and that's fantastic news this morning just because any kind of standing water is now going to refreeze this morning, so no problems with black ice. 35 Indian Lake down towards Lake Pleasant, Bolton Landing at 34, Glens Falls at 39. Here are the winds, upwards of 13 miles per hour in North Adams, so maybe a little bit of a breeze this morning, but just like yesterday, the wind will pick up by the afternoon. Storm Tracker HD radar across the Mohawk Valley, mainly across Fulton County. We're seeing the slight chance for a sprinkle. Otherwise, we are quiet this morning. We're seeing a lot of clouds. All that rain that we saw last night is off towards the east, along with that cold front. All right, Futurecast this morning. We have a couple clouds, maybe a sprinkle, but otherwise we'll be dry today. We'll see gradually decreasing clouds as highs will be into the 40s. 46 for a high. Clouds decreasing, breezy. Maybe some wind gusts to 30 miles per hour this afternoon. For tonight, 25, getting colder, mostly clear to partly cloudy. 7-day forecast. Saturday, a few more clouds for the afternoon. 42, we're dry on Sunday. Both days during the weekend look pretty good. 46 on Monday. The best chance for showers will come in Tuesday and Wednesday. Highs near 50. And then cooler on Thursday. Highs near 40 with partly sunny skies. Brian?
Not too shabby. Thank you, Greg. All right, a shocking verdict reached last night in the high-profile case of an undocumented immigrant who killed a woman in San Francisco back in 2015. After more than 2 painful years, Jose Inez Garcia Zarate was found not guilty of murder and involuntary manslaughter in the shooting death of 32-year-old Kate Steinle on a San Francisco pier back in July of 2015. Zarate maintained his innocence, saying he found the gun under a chair on that pier, and when he picked it up to look at it, it accidentally fired. The bullet ricocheted, hit Steinle as she was walking with her father about 90 feet away. Zarate was in the country illegally after being deported several times and had multiple felony convictions. The case, of course, becoming part of the national immigration debate.
From day one, this case was used as a means to foment hate.
Zarate found guilty of possession of a firearm, and he's awaiting sentencing for that charge.
Well, in a last-minute switch, senators decided not to vote on the GOP tax reform plan last night, instead putting off more voting until today. Democrats still don't agree with the plan and will be making amendments this morning. It would be the first major rewrite of the tax code in more than 30 years. Republicans tout the fact it cuts the corporate tax rate and offers cuts for middle-class families. But Democrats say it eliminates popular deductions.
Bottom line, Mr. President, this is a proposal that does work.
President Trump has called this bill, in his words, a great, big, beautiful Christmas present for the American people. Well, I certainly hope the American people remember to keep the gift certificate.
Now, if the Senate passes its version, they still have to reconcile it with the House version. Those two bills are still very far apart right now.
Helping local children learn how to cope with trauma. That's the goal of a new program. Albany Police joining forces with the city school district to launch what they call the Handle with Care program. Witnessing anything traumatic like the arrest of a loved one, a house fire, can have a huge impact on a student's behavior in the classroom. Superintendent Quita Adams says up until now, school staff had no way of knowing if a child's actions may have been the result of some sort of trauma.
Information would be shared with previously designated staff so that they can be on the lookout for things that may be abnormal in the child's behavior.
Deputy Chief Robert Sears says his officers will now seek out children at every scene, figure out what school they go to, and alert the school who the child is without revealing, however, the details of the incident.
Regulations are now in place across New York State requiring all pet shelters to register with the state. For the first time, organizations are now required to register with the Department of Agriculture and Markets. Previously, not-for-profit humane societies were exempt from the regulation. The new law addresses complaints from animal buyers whose pets ended up sick or dead. Well, the city in the capital region being recognized for its very bright future. According to MSN Money, Glens Falls has the most promise for a successful year in 2018. The article names the most hopeful cities in each state, and Glens Falls topped the list for New York. It says Glens Falls has the lowest unemployment rate in New York compared to other metro areas surveyed in the study, and it has the second highest rate of increase in weekly income compared to the state's other metro areas that also were surveyed. So good news for Glens Falls.
Nice little distinction there, right?
Absolutely.
All right, 5:50 right now this Friday morning, 42 degrees outside in Albany. You're going to want to hear this before letting your kids play outside.
This is troubling. Contamination concerns from nearby waterways spilling into a local park. What areas you need to watch out for?
You going to clean out your hair?
Chewbacca joins the force, the police force, that is. More of this out-of-the-world video coming up. Hey, quick AM Express right now. Some of the top stories we're following as you get ready to head out the door.
More than 25 people forced out of their homes after that devastating fire in Cohoes that we continue to tell you about this morning. It started yesterday afternoon. It spread 3 blocks over the course of the night. Police arresting 51-year-old John Gomes. He's accused of intentionally setting a small fire in a barrel in his backyard, but it quickly spread out of control because of yesterday's very strong winds. So he's now charged with arson and reckless endangerment.
Today is the deadline for an indictment to be handed up as part of the investigation into Rensselaer County District Attorney Joe Abeloff. The indictment would come in regards to his handling of a police-involved shooting in the death of Edson Thevenin in Troy. In recent weeks, we've learned a grand jury delivered a sealed envelope to the Rensselaer County Court. It is scheduled to be opened at 1 o'clock this afternoon. You can count on News 10 ABC to bring you live coverage.
The man convicted of murdering a man in Schenectady scheduled to be sentenced today. Hector Abreu, accused of shooting Angel Carrion. Investigators say the violence stems from gang affiliation. Abreu is already serving a 12-year sentence after pleading guilty to shooting another man in the leg in Albany back in 2014, 4 months after he shot and killed. Carry on.
Quick look at your forecast over the course of the day here. Going up to a forecast high of about 46. Pretty much clear, a little breezy. Not a bad day outside. Seasonable.
Today's roll call. Hayes, ex-patrol on 7th. Bala, follow up on that robbery from yesterday. Jimmy, you get the Wookiee.
I'm sorry, did you say the rookie?
No, the Wookiee.
That's great. The Fort Worth, Texas Police Department has an out-of-this-world welcome video for its rookies. Features a Chewbacca, the Wookiee from Star Wars, joining the Force, the police force that is, not the Force, harnessed by the Jedi Knights. The video posted on Facebook shows Chewbacca going through the tasks of a police officer, which includes traffic stops and training.
Right.
It is pretty amusing.
It's funny. Oh, well, that's not going too well. A little more training needed. Sensitivity training, perhaps.
Yeah, right? I encourage you to go watch it, too, because we just watched it most of it, and it
Yeah.
is funny, especially when he's training in the gym, and they tell him to take it easy on the guy, and what happens, yeah, it's pretty.
Love the creativity.
The other rookies are pretty upset about it.
Yeah.
If you have a story, tip, or video you want us to see, share it with us. Use our News 10 ABC app. Go to Google Play or the App Store. Our app is free.
Yes, it is. All right, it's 5:57, Rye. 42 degrees outside. Coming up on News 10 ABC, a consumer alert for parents out there.
Right, there's a product that's being recalled because it can grow mold. So where the products have been sold, what you need to know in just a moment.